Assalamualaikum, my name is Nurul Aini Fatihah binti Muhammad Hanafi. My metric number is 2020489396. Now, I will present the introduction of Usul Fiqh. Usul al-Fiqh have two interpretation. Firstly, based on the components of the two words, which are Usul and Fiqh. Usul al-Fiqh as a teach of information or science of Islamic teach. The Hanafi school of law characterizes Usul al-Fiqh as the information of the standards that can become to the determination of the rules from its sources or the standards of determination of the rules. However, the Shafi'i law specialists characterize Usul al-Fiqh as the information of the proofs of fiqh in common strategies or of inferring the rules from the proofs and position of an individual who infers the rules. In this way, Usul al-Fiqh is concerning with the standards and techniques of inferring Islamic law. There's a relationship between Usul al-Fiqh and Fiqh. Fiqh is the information of the rules relating to a conduct of individual or the rules themselves. It basically comprises of two fundamental divisions, which is commitments or ibadah like fasting and respectful matters such as adat or muamalat, rules relating to family or called as munakahat, and wrongdoings or jinayah. However, there are some sources of Sharia law in Usul al-Fiqh, which is Istihsan or known as equity and Uruf. So now I will pass to the next presenter to explain more about this topic.
Definition of Istihsan. The word Istihsan is derived from the root word hasuna, which literally means good, fine, fitting, suitable, preferable, and beautiful. Istihsan is an Arabic expression for juristic preference. However, Abu al-Hasan al-Karki characterizes Istihsan as to live from the current point of reference by taking a choice in a specific case not quite the same as that on which comparative cases have been chosen, for an explanation more grounded than the one that is quoted in those cases. While Abu Bakr al-Jassas characterizes Istihsan as take off from clear analogical thinking for another decision which is considered ideal.
And next, I will explain about jurist opinion of Istihsan. Imam al-Shafi'i mentions Istihsan is a form of talazus which is having fun. If Istihsan is allowed to a person in matters of religion, surely it will be obligatory for every same person outside the field of knowledge. So it is understood from the words of Imam al-Shafi'i, the Istihsan that he rejected is Istihsan based on reason alone, and last, also which does not have the backing of Islamic evidence. Imam al-Shafi'i's acceptance of Istihsan also manifested through his own book, which is Al-Umm, and he views the action of some judges who require an oath while holding the Quran is a good thing. In Hasan. This is proof that Imam al-Shafi'i himself practiced Istihsan in his ijtihad. Thank you.
Okay, next I will explain about the example in application of Islamic banking and finance. So the first one is daruriyah, which means priority, and it is one of the categories in the Maqasid Sharia. So the Sharia law that has existed is intended to preserve the five basic things in the life of the Muslim individual, and namely religion, or maybe life, intellect, lineage, and property. So all these basic things are very important requirements in the survival and spiritual life of person. So if there are interests that are not taken care of, the life of the community will be ruined and unsettled. Overall, the existing Islamic law is intended to protect and propagate the five values of priority and just to justify any action that can preserve these priorities. Okay, for example, the command to jihad has been stated in the Quran to protect the religion, and the command to perform qisas to protect the life of every Muslim. So I guess in relation to the title of the presentation of this paper, the thing that needs to be given priority and taken care of is property protection. And I guess Islam encourages business because it can help in generating income. Because Islam also outlines guidelines in ensuring a smooth journey in commercial transactions and gaining a place in the market. Furthermore, Islam is very concerned with justice. Therefore, the Islamic financial system must be based on the Sharia, where the welfare of the community is protected regardless of religion, race, or rich or maybe poor. Besides Daruriyah, there is also Hajiyah, which is the second category of Maqasid Sharia. And Hajiyah is defined as the advantage of removing any hardship as long as the hardship in question does not threaten the continuity of the order of the norms of life. In other words, Hajiyah gives a complementary meaning to Maslahah, and Hajiyah is located on the second rung after Daruriyah, where it is applied after taking into account Daruriyah. So Hajiyah is needed to protect and highlight the needs of the priority of Maqasid. So Sharia has provided various facilities in every obligation that needs to be performed by Muslims. So the facilities introduced are intended to avoid any difficulties that occur to the Ummah, and I think it is not an obligation for us to implement it, because Muslims can still live orderly without these facilities and continue to perform their obligations that have been outlined in the Quran and also Sunnah. Next, in the field of Mu'amalah, Sharia has allowed several contracts such as Salam and Ijarah, which is mean rent and wages. Yes. The advantages found in these contracts are known as Hajiyah, because such contracts are not a requirement to ensure the continuity of the normal order, but there are circumstances different from the normal that are allowed to be executed and to avoid any inconvenience or harm. Hajiyah can be on the same level as Daruriyah if it involves the interest of the people. Okay, lastly, Tasniya, which means to beautify or beautify. It aims to effect change and perfect human customs and behavior at all levels. The position of Tasniya in determining a law is after taking into account Daruriyah and Hajiyah. In other words, Tasniya helps the construction of Daruriyah, which is the most important foundation for a more organized, civilized and successful life in this world and in the hereafter. Okay, next, in matters involving the management of Mu'amalat, Islam has encouraged the management to be done with full trust, gentleness, as well as polite deeds and speech. So, however, there is no punishment or fine for anyone involved in Mu'amalat if they do not practice in all their dealings. So, the purpose of being so is simply to help complete the important things, and the assistance of Tasniya is very necessary. However, Tasniya is less important than Daruriyah and Hajiyah. Its function is only to improve and complete in meeting the demands of Daruriyah and Hajiyah. Other words, Tasniya is a complement to Hajiyah. Referring to Imam Shabiti, the emergence of Tasniya is more to beautify something, such as making human customs and habits adopted, laws and ethics, as well as high moral standards in accordance with what is outlined in Islam. As a conclusion, the application of Maqasid Sharia in the Islamic financial system is very important in the life of Muslims today, as we know Islam is very relevant for every age. This is because the objective of Sharia in safeguarding the property or rights of Muslims is to ensure justice and is upheld and ensure that each community fulfills their respective rights and responsibilities in any type of Islamic banking transaction. Discussions regarding the application and implementation of Maqasid Sharia by Islamic scholars have long existed since Islamic banks begin, agreeing in Islamizing the existing conventional products such as Islamic housing financing, Islamic credit cards, and Islamic investments and takaful. So, in the first phase in the development of the Islamic financial system, The best motivation has been introduced to the Islamic world is to promote fair economic travel as well as eliminate all elements of riba in transactions involving currency. However, there has been great criticism of Islamic banking products when some claim that the rights and responsibilities of individuals involved in Islamic contracts are not fully met. So I guess the application of Maqasid Sharia is very important for us to be studied and applied in every party involved in Islamic financial transactions, such as banks acting as financiers, customers, and any party acting as third party. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Wan Ahmad Azrizal Denun bin Wan Ahmad. Today I will explain about definition of uruf. Uruf is defined as recurring practice which are acceptable to people of sound nature. Uruf or custom is a matter on which a group of people agrees in the course of their everyday lives. A set of activities that individuals and communities repeat over and over. As a result, this definition will eliminate repeated actions among certain persons that provide no benefit or include bias and corruption. It is the collective practice of many people that is normally denoted as uruf. Uruf is not referring to personal habits of individual capacity. The habits of minority will not fall under uruf category. One of the dispute secondary sources is uruf. The volatility of uruf is one of the reasons why academics are hesitant to accept it as a proof. Also, it might alter depending on the time and place at any point in time. This indicates that an Islamic law judgment will not be continuous but will vary depending on the time and place. Scholars, on the other hand, have often accepted it in some form or another, use it to make decisions. Okay, the next is I will explain about proof of uruf. The Sharia has, in theory, certified authorized custom as viable premise in the determination of its law relating to halal and haram, says Muhammad Hashim Kamali. There is no explicit language in the Quran or Sunnah that say uruf can be used as proof in Islamic law. Islam permitted the observance of a custom but imposed requirements to bring it in line with the Sharia norms. Slavery is an example of custom like this. Slaves were viewed as beasts before Islam, with little sympathy or value placed on them. The essential premise with regard to custom is that they are allowed unless it is narrated in Sharia that they are forbidden or controlled, as all the precedent demonstrates. That's all from me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and thank you.
Now I will present about the condition of valid uruf. For uruf to be valid, it must meet several criteria in addition to being rational and acceptable to person of goodwill. Firstly, uruf must depict a common and a recurring phenomenon. This implies that a huge number of individuals must follow the uruf on a regular basis in their everyday lives. For example, when a person buys a car, the question of what should be included in the purchase is largely determined by customs. Secondly, the custom or uruf must exist at the time the transaction is complete. This means that only the custom in effect at the time of the contracts or transaction will be recognized as valid. This condition is especially important when it comes to the interpretation of documents, which must be interpreted considering the prevailing custom at the time they were written. Next is the custom should not contradict the unmistakable specification of an understanding. The response to the custom is just legitimate without arrangement. This because normally, legally binding arrangements are more grounded than custom. Then up to the image and contention between them, the previous will be maintained. For custom is possibly to be conjured when no unmistakable text can be found to decide the provisions of a specific debate. The last condition of valid uruf is that custom cannot abuse the Nas, Al-Quran or Sunnah and the agreed akad, which is an authoritative guideline for Islamic law. On the off chance that it does as such, custom will be given no thought. If the custom goes against just parts of the text, then at that point, custom is permitted to go about as any restricting element on the text. The practice of riba is transaction, although it is widely practiced. It has no legal validity and a person cannot breach an agreed contract as stipulated in the contract.
Next, we will look on examples in Islamic banking and finance. First of all is Islamic deposit accounts. Islamic deposit accounts are like typical banks. Monetism banks think about depositors' funds further as their own capital as a major supply of funds. Therefore, deposits are principally within the type of current deposits or demand accounts, savings, and time deposits. Second is current accounts. Generally, the two Sharia principles, that is Qad Hasan and Wadi'ah, that area unit employed by Islamic banks in providing this facility. Islamic banks in some countries clearly indicate that they settle for current deposit, which relies on the principle of Qad Hasan. Third, investment accounts. Fixed-term deposits within the standard system treat the premise of interest. Various investment accounts in Islamic banks treat the premise of percentage that could be a simple or mudarabah. Mudarabah is wherever the supplier of the funds, the saver entrusts their cash to a knowledgeable the capitalist, the bank, so they will build and exploit it. While fastened term deposits, square measure typically distinguish from one another supported their maturities. Investment deposits may be distinguished supported maturity also as supported functions, as it is possible to administer special directions to the bank to speculate a specific deposit in a very nominal project or trade. The last one is saving accounts. Qad Hasan, Wadi'ah, Damanah, and Mudarabah are the three Sharia principles utilized by Islamic banks for savings accounts. This group of depositors is made up of those who keep money primarily for the sake of safety, but are also influenced by an investing motive. Bank Islam Malaysia is a good example of this, as it defines savings accounts as follows. 1. The bank offers deposits from customers seeking secure custody of their funds, ease of use, and the possibility of profit through saving accounts based on the Al-Wadi'ah Damanah principle. 2. It is important to note that any return on money is only Islamically permissible if the cash is used in a fashion that exposes it to a business risk. Savings depositors are not taking a business risk if they are guaranteed that their funds will be reimbursed in full when they want them, as is the case with traditional banks. In these circumstances, it must be made plain that savers have no Islamic right to a return. If an Islamic bank gives depositors a percentage of the profits created through the usage of saving accounts, it is entirely at the discretion of the bank and must be viewed as gift.
So, as a conclusion, Istihsan is one of the sources of Islamic law that can be used by the mujtahid to solve the problems that occur within society. Istihsan's approach is very much concerned with human welfare in legal settlement, because it is the best option for use by the mujtahids when the law is based on the original method, or qiyas will cause hardship and difficulty to human beings. While Uruf, which means custom, is acknowledged as the source of law in practically all legal systems, including Sharia. So, a society's shifting demands are frequently mirrored in its customs, which are often the outcome of society's response to new situations. So, custom is a reflection of people's needs and willingness to adapt to change. And it's fundamentally dynamic and open-ended. It's constantly available to improvement. So that's all from us. Thank you so much.